Welcome to Lecture 2 of Module 5. In this session, we will discuss about MAC Media Access Control or Radio Link Control overview, where we have the concepts of data transfer modes, what is the purpose of MAC and RLC, what are the header formats with respect to packet data unit, as well as the procedures of your automatic repeat request we'll be discussing. Also, we'll discuss about RRC overview, about its states as well as the functions. So let us start our discussion with MAC or RLC overview. So RLC layer, as you know, radio link control layer, it performs all the segmentations as well as the concatenation on PDCP PDU, packet data unit with respect to PDUs. Packet data conversion protocol with respect to PDUs. It also reorders the RLC PDUs as well as supports the HRQ mechanisms. With respect to RLC layer, all these functions have been performed. It supports HRQ mechanism. It also reorders your RLC PDUs. At a transmitter and receiver, there is one RLC entity per radio barrier service. With respect to means of execution, there is only one RLC entity per radio barrier service. The MAC layer performs muxing as well as the demuxing operation with respect to various logical channels which are implemented onto the transport channels. The MAC layer performs muxing and demuxing of logical channels onto the transport channels. What happens with respect to base station? Nothing but your E node Bs. So at E node Bs, this includes the muxing as well as a prioritizing with respect to various UE, which particular user entity should be given highest priority. Also muxing and prioritizing of various radio barriers. So how do you have a muxing and identifying and getting the priority with respect to various UE based upon number of user entity, nothing but your mobile stations, as well as the various radio barriers. So how do you prioritize? All these things are done at your base station. At UE, the MAC layer only performs the task of prioritizing various radio barriers which are associated with user entity. The MAC layer provides services to RLC through logical channels. Whatever the services we provide, we have been deduced with respect to user entity. This is given to the RLC layer through your logical channels. It accesses all the data transfer services which are provided by physical layer in implementing through your transport channels. So these are the things which we need to know about MAC as well as RLC. When it comes to the modes of execution, what are the different transfer modes available for us? Each RLC entity can be operated in three different modes, such as TM mode, transparent mode, unacknowledged mode, as well as acknowledged mode. So what is this transparent mode? So this TM or transparent mode, what happens here? So in this mode of execution, RLC entity does not add any RLC header to the PDU. It does not have any header and no data segmentation or concatenation is performed. There is no segmenting of data or concatenation of data in case of this mode. It is suitable for services that do not need retransmission. So this type of mode is suitable for services where we don't have a requirement of retransmission. And TM mode is not used for user plane data transmission. And with respect to broadcast system information, whatever the messages as well as the paging messages, use your TM mode. All your paging messages as well as the broadcast system messages use your transparent mode. When it comes to UM mode, that's what unacknowledged mode. So this mode provides in-sequence delivery of data, no retransmission of lost PDU. Whatever the lost PDU is there, no retransmission of the lost PDU is needed here. This mode is used to by delay sensitive or LO with respect to error tolerant applications such as your voice over internet protocol. With respect to DTCH, dedicated traffic channel, logical channel can be operated in UM mode. But when we talk about a DTCH channel, it can be operated with respect to UM mode. That's what unacknowledged mode. RLC data PDU delivered by UM RLC entity is called UM data PDU. That's what UMD. What is UMD? That's what unacknowledged mode with respect to PDU. We say what UMD. unacknowledged mode of data, UMD. So what happens at the transmission end? At transmission end, with respect to UMD mode of execution, RLC entity segments or concatenates the RLC SDUs. At the receiving end, RLC entity performs re-recording, duplication of any deduction of data, and reassembling of UMD PDU, nothing but your unacknowledged mode data PDU of packet data unit. So you should understand all this terminology with respect to UMD. What is UMD? This is what your unacknowledged data PDU is called as what? UMD. This happens with respect to mode. So when it comes to AM mode, that's what acknowledge mode. So most complex one. This is one of the most complex one with respect to the data transfer modes, which request retransmission of missing PDUs. This is the one where we are going to have a means of retransmission of data of any missing packet data unit. So it is majorly used by error sensitive as well as a delay tolerant application. So delay tolerant and error sensitive applications such as VoIP, what we discussed, it is also used in this AM mode also. An AM RLC entity can be configured to deliver or to receive RLC PDUs through two different means, that is DCCH as well as DTCH, dedicated control channel as well as dedicated traffic channel. The operation with respect to AM RLC entity is almost similar to RLC entity, except that it supports retransmission of RLC data PDU. So here what happens with respect to this mode of execution, it is going to support retransmission post of execution. So when it comes to what is the purpose of RLC and MAC layers, so when it comes to the execution means of execution, the purpose of services that are deployed with respect to RLC and MAC layers are more prominent with respect to error correction through ARQs, concatenations is also done, segmentation and reassembling process, and resegmentation of RLC PDUs, in sequence delivery, as well as duplication of detection if any redundancy requirement is there, and protocol error detection, and RLC SDU as well as RLC re-establishment can also be done by means of your by means of your MAC as well as RLC. So LTE defines two MAC entities to perform uh, all these functionalities, such as one in UE and one in base station, nothing but your E node B. The functions of MAC sublayer are with respect to the layers of execution. Before we talk about the header, we should know the basic functions. So what are all these? These are all some of the services. The LTE defines two MAC entities, one with respect to your UE and one with respect to E node B. The major functions of MAC sublayer are, which is to map all the logical channels as well as the transport channels, and muxing and demultiplexing of MAC SDUs belonging to one or different logical channels into or from the same transport block. All these mapping should be done with respect to MAC sublayer. And scheduling for both downlink and uplink transmission is also done by MAC sublayer. So all these are the functions of MAC sublayer. So when we talk about error correction, yes, that is also error correction also should also be done by MAC sublayer through appropriate means of protocol, that is HRQ, hybrid automatic repeat request, and handling the priorities between logical channels of one UE and between UEs by means of dynamic scheduling. If there is any dynamic scheduling requirement, all the dynamic scheduling requirement should have a appropriate means of execution by giving the priority. The priority handling is also done by MAC sublayer, as well as the transport format selection, that is what kind of modulation to be employed and what are the means of coding schemes to be used for adapting the transport of information to be conveyed. So all these things are also should be performed by MAC sublayer. And if any padding as required, padding with respect to MAC PDU is not fulfilled with respect to data, so it also should also be accomplished by means of MAC sublayer. So these are all very important. Why we require MAC and RLC layer? What are the functions of your MAC sublayer? So we should understand that in LTE we have two MAC entities. One is with respect to your mobile, nothing but your user entity, and other one is with respect to your base station, that is what your E node is. So when we have a means of communication, we should know what are the different header formats that we need to that we have in execution of your packet data unit. So the packet data unit with respect to header and formats have been discussed in the next subsequent slides. So this is about the PDU header as well as the formats. RLC, we are supposed to discuss about two different PDUs. This is what your RLC PDU formats as well as MAC PDU formats. First, let us have a brief discussion of with respect to RLC PDUs. So when I talk about RLC PDU, RLC data PDU as well as RLC control PDU will come to picture. So RLC data PDU are used by uh, TM mode, transparent mode, unacknowledged mode as well as acknowledged mode RLC entities in order to transfer your upper layer PDUs, which we called TMD, UMD as well as AMD. Just what we discussed just now with respect to your UMD means you unacknowledged mode data PDU. The same way we have TMD as well as AMD. So all these things happen with respect to RLC data PDU. When I talk about RLC control PDU are used for peer-to-peer signaling between AM RLC entities at two ends of ARQ. We are going to have an automatic repeat request mechanism. So these RLC control PDUs are being deployed. So when we talk about different RLC data PDU, so we have TMD PDU, which consists of data field. So when we can see the formats of RLC PDU in the structure, where we talk about TMD PDU on the top, which consists of only data field. No RLC header is added here. UMD PDU and AMD PDU has different RLC headers, but they contain common fields. With respect to common fields, when I say common fields with respect to UMD PDU and AMD PDU are FI, LI, and E field as well as SN field. So what are these? FI is what framing field, framing information field, which indicates with respect to FI, which indicates whether RLC SDU is segmented at the beginning or at the end of the data field. LI field is the length indicator, which indicates the length of bytes of corresponding data field element. How many lengths have been deployed. With respect to E field, extension bit, which indicates whether the data field follows or a set of E field or LI field follows. What is the extension that we are going to employ? And SN field is a sequence number which corresponds to UMD or AMD PDU, which usually consists of 10 bits of AMD PDUs and AMD PDU segments. You can see there we have AMD PDU segments as well as the status PDU, and 5 bits or 10 bits for UMD PDUs. All these are the different frame formats which we usually see with respect to RLC PDUs. For AMD PDU as well as AMD PDU segments, what you see in the final stage of your RLC header, we have D/C. That's what your data and control field, which indicates whether RLC PDU is an RLC data PDU or an RLC control PDU. Based upon the D slash, if it is data, we are going to consider D. If it is C, we are going to have an C representation where we indicates it is going for RLC control PDU. And we have one more field, that is RF, resegmentation field, which indicates whether RLC PDU is an AMD PDU or AMD PDU segments. We have one more field called P, polling bit field, which indicates whether the transmitting side of an AM RLC entity requests a status report, whether it is going to have an indication from its peer-to-peer communication of your AM RLC. When I say AM, that's what unacknowledged mode RLC entity. So RLC header of AM PDU consists of with respect to AMD PDU segments contains special fields such as SO field. There are some special fields with respect to AMD PDU. What you see in the structure shown, we have SO field as well as LSF field. SO field where it indicates segmented offset field, which indicates the position of AMD PDU segment in bytes within original AMD PDU. When I say LSF field, last segment field, indicates whether the last byte of AMD PDU segment corresponds to last byte of AMD PDU. It indicates with respect to last segment. And status PDU, it is used by receiving AM RLC entity to indicate the missing portion of AMD PDU. When I say status PDU, it consists of your control PDU, which contains CPT. That's what control PDU type, which has the means of execution of having your acknowledgement SN field as well as extension bit field, E1 field, as well as your E2 field. There we have E1 and E2 field with respect to status. the status PDU has CPT field where it indicates control PDU type, which actually means what type of RLC PDU we are going to employ. And ACK SN means acknowledged sequence number field indicates the sequence number of next which is not received with respect to RLC data PDU. And the extension bit even field indicates whether the set of negative acknowledgement of a sequence number of E1 and E2 follows or not. So E2 field it indicates whether the set of SO or SO start or SO end, where it indicates segment offset start or segment offset end follows. When I talk about negative sequence, which actually indicate the sequence number of your AMD PDU that has been detected as lost whenever we are going to have a means of execution which is lost at the receiving end of your AMRLC entity. At SO start and SO end, what you are seeing here in the status PDU, it indicates the portion of AMD PDU with respect to sequence number, whether it is negative acknowledgement or with respect to that has been detected with respect to any particular data that is lost at the receiving end of AMRLC entity. So this happens with respect to SO start as well as SO end. And L field, you can have one more field called L field, where length field indicates the length of corresponding MAC PDU. So the execution of this MAC PDUs as well as subsequent negative acknowledgement is been discussed in this slide with proper structures. So that's about RLC PDU formats. When it comes to MAC PDU formats, the layer receives data from RLC as MAC SDUs and passes MAC SDUs or nothing but MAC PDUs to your physical layer for implementation. So here MAC PDUs has two parts, MAC header as well as MAC payload. The MAC payload consists of 0 or more MAC SDUs, 0 or more MAC control elements, as well as optional padding bits are also driven. When we talk about MAC PDU header, it consists of one or more MAC PDU subheaders, where we can see subheader 1, subheader 2. We are going to have a number of subheaders, while each subheader corresponds to either MAC SDU or MAC control element with respect to padding sequence. The MAC subheader consists of 5 fields, where you can see with respect to field of representation. The R field, where R field reserve field, which is currently reserved with respect to which is always set to 0 value. E field with respect to extension field as a flag. If it is equal to 1, it sets another at least with respect to RRELIC field with respect to logical channel identification field. If it is equal to 0, MAC SDU, MAC control element are also padded with respect to RE field. When I talk about LCID field, logical channel identification field, which it identifies the logical channel instance of MAC SDU or MAC control element as well as the padding sequence. There is one LCID, logical channel identification field, for each MAC SDU, MAC control element as well as the padding field. When we talk about the F field, format indicates with this F field nothing but which indicates the size of the length of the field, the size of length of the field. Where if it is equal to 0, if size F is equal to 0, if size of MAC SDU or MAC control element is less than 128 bytes, or F is equal to 1. So there is one F field per MAC subheader. For every subheader, what you're seeing in the diagram, you're going to have one F field except for last subheader. So last subheader is going to have a deployment with respect to MAC PDU. And when we talk about the last field, L field, which indicates the length of corresponding MAC PDUs, so as well as MAC control element, the size of L is indicated with respect to the F field based upon your F field. Based upon your F field, the size of L can be deployed, where we indicate the length, where F indicates the format of the size of the length field. What is the size of the length field? And the last subheader, what you see in MAC PDU and MAC PDU subheader, there are only 4 fields, R, E as well as LCID. The MAC control element can be used for many functions such as signaling for buffering status reporting and discontinuous reception command, timing advance command, as well as getting the power based upon your appropriate mobile, nothing but your user entities, power headroom, as well as the continuous with respect to user entities, contention resolution can also be done by means of your MAC control element. And MAC PDU for random access response to get a multiple responses which has a different formats. Here MAC header consists of one or more MAC PDUs. So as well as MAC payload consists of one or more MAC RIR as what your random access response. With respect to random access response, what you are seeing MAC RIR is nothing but your random access response, which consists of 4 fields such as received bit, timing advance command, as well as UL grant. When I say reserved bit, it is set to 0. Timing advance command, it indicates the index value. It has usually defined with respect to 11 bits. UL grant, nothing but based upon your uplink grant, it indicates resource used on uplink. It has usually dedicated of 20 bits. And temporary with respect to CRNTA, which is usually deployed and used by user entity during your random access based upon the deployment. It is usually having a size of 16 bits. So this means of execution have been done by your two different formats, such as your MAC PDU as well as RLC PDU formats. The last RLC segments of discussion are MAC and RLC segment of discussion. We need to know about what about ARQ procedures. So what is this ARQ? Automatic repeat request procedure has an efficient two-layer retransmission scheme. One is with respect to fast HARQ protocol, which is usually done in the MAC layer, and selective repeat ARQ protocol, which is done in RLC layer. So HARQ is responsible for handling errors by performing retransmission. Every now and then when we require retransmission, HARQ is responsible. And ARQ is mainly due to errors in HARQ. So when I say HARQ acknowledgement feedback, if there are any errors which are performed by AM transfer mode of your AM RLC entity. So all your responsibility with respect to handling errors is performed with respect to RLC entity. Those two means of retransmission, that is HARQ as well as selective repeat ARQ protocol. And when we talk about HARQ, it is determined by rate, how much rate we are going to get the appropriate feedback that increases the yield based upon the low latency as well as low overhead. And the ARQ retransmission is triggered by ARQ negative acknowledgement, which is usually received at the transmit side of your AM RLC entity. Here also we have a payload as well as MAC RAR with respect to media access control with respect to responses what we get, with respect to several responses what we get. And we have MAC subheader that have been deployed for to get appropriate retransmission responses. Okay, that's about your MAC as well as RLC PDUs. So when we talk about RRC overview, so it is radio resource control. When we take about the layer discussion, this RRC layer take care of RRC connection management, radio bearer controlling, as well as mobility function, as well as your user mobility. When I say user entity, it's nothing but your mobile entity measurement with respect to controlling as well as reporting perspective. It is also responsible for broadcasting system information as well as paging information. So these are all the major functions that are performed by RRC. That's what your radio resource control. It has states to be represented, to be discussed. In LTE, it has two states, RRC ideal state as well as RLC connected state. When it comes to user entity, in RRC connected state, user entity is always with respect to RRC connector state when an RRC connection is established. If there is an establishment of connection that is done, user entity is in RRC connected state, or else it is in RRC ideal state, radio resource control ideal state. So RRC ideal state and RRC connector state, when we talk about these two states of discussion, so in RRC ideal state, user entity can receive broadcast of system information as well as the paging information, and there is no signaling barrier established in case of your RRC ideal state. And here mobility control is handled by your mobile, nothing but your user entity, and your UE user entity, nothing but your mobile, monitors a paging channel in order to detect all the incoming calls, and it specifies paging discontinuous with respect to reception of a reception cycle. So if there is any specific paging need to be discontinued, this RRC ideal state can be employed. When we talk about RRC connected state, yes, this user entity has an EUTRON, enhanced universal terrestrial radio access network with respect to RRC connection state. And UE monitors the control channels such as your PDCCH, physical dedicated control channel, which is associated with the shared channel means of execution. And UE also reports channel quality information as well as the feedback information to your base station, nothing but your e-node base. Here, network, whatever we are going to talk about, network control mobility as well as handover of your UE and UE provide neighboring cell information are also obtained by your RRC connected state. And when we talk about some of the functions of your RRC, so the concept of SRBs, what we discussed previously, signaling radio barriers have been obtained with respect to RRC function. That's what SRBs, signaling radio barriers, are defined as radio barriers that are used only for transmission of RRC as well as NAS messages. There are three different SRBs defined in LTE, such as SRB0, SRB1, as well as SRB2. SRB0 is for RRC messaging using your common control channel logical channel, and SRB1 is for RRC messages and NAS, that's what non-access staterum messaging to establish your SRB2 using your DCCH, dedicated control logical channel. And SRB2 is used for NAS messages, that's what your non-access staterum messaging using your DCCH logical channel. So SRB2 has a lower priority than SRB1, which is configured by EUTRON after your security activation. When it comes to the protocol functionality, based upon the functions of RRC protocol of execution, broadcast system information such as your master information block and system information block. Master information block includes limited number of frequently transmitted parameters, as well as which is done with respect to BCH logical channel, broadcast logical channel. When we say about SIB, system information block, where we have uh, different types of parameters to determine if the cell is selected based upon downlink shared channel mechanism. This is one of the functions of your RRC protocol based upon your broadcast of system information. When we talk about RRC connection control, which has a procedure related to establishment of link as well as a modification as well as release of the connection with respect to RRC, including the paging and security activation and radio configuration as well as the quality of service mechanism, nothing but your management of your QoS are also as a part of function of your RRC protocol. Even measurement of your configuration and reporting, including uh, nothing but you are measurement of reporting, including your intra as well as inter frequency that are deployed, as well as mobility with respect to inter rat mobility are also a part of execution or part of functions of your RRC with respect to radio resource control. That's about the MAC as well as RRC overview. So that's the end of the discussion for this session. Thank you.